The perfect marriage. That's a goal for so many people. To find that one person that they can spend their life with. That one person that is there with you through your thick and thin. That supports you no matter what. Seldom do people find such a partner. But when they do, it's a coming together of two worlds in a remarkable union. But as amazing as this union is, the flip side of that coin is tragedy. What happens when that one person is taken away from you? What happens when that oh so perfect partner is no more? Well, this is one such story. The story of the union that was simply never meant to be. This is the story of Mitesh and Jessica Patel. Hi everyone, welcome to the Desi Crime Podcast, a show where we dive deep into some of the craziest cases from around South Asia. I'm your host Aryan.
And I'm Aishwarya.
And the case that I have for you today makes you question what relationships can be.
So Aryan, we've covered this episode previously on our audio-only
Yes.
podcast a couple of years ago, I think. But this is the first time that we're doing it here on YouTube with footage and everything. So go subscribe somewhere here. There's a button.
That's the least you can do, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we love our Spotify audience also, but when we revisit these cases, we get a flag from the OG audience. So, you YouTube guys need to prove to us why we should
This is
revisit
why.
these cases just for you by hitting the subscribe button.
Yeah, go do it. But Aryan, I remember when you covered this case, I remember it having the most unbelievable crazy twist
Yes,
ever.
that's the reason I chose to cover it again, because this case marks the craziest cliffhanger at least I've ever come across.
And the interesting part is I don't remember what that twist is.
Wow.
I don't remember what the cliffhanger
Great.
is. I just remember it's a love story. It's a marriage. I remember somewhere there is some piece of technology. I think an Apple Watch that's used
Yes.
at some point. And there's a cliffhanger I do not remember. So I'm really excited.
Let's get right into it. What you're about to hear is a call between Mitesh Patel, a 37-year-old pharmacist in Middlesbrough, UK, and the emergency 999 operator.
Police emergency.
Oh, hiya. I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
Where about? What's the address?
We're on number 35, the Avenue in Middlesbrough, Linthorpe.
Right, is that where your wife is now?
Yeah, well, I've just come home. I was just out. I went to get something to eat and see the lads at work and get my laptop. And I've come home and the house is ransacked. And she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right.
I'm trying. Shall I take off her?
Can she breathe?
Can she breathe? Asked the 999 operator on the day of May 18th, 2018. On the other line is Mitesh Patel, who found his house in a disarray upon entering. It looked like his house had been burgled or ransacked by thieves, but he wasn't really sure. But then again, it didn't really matter. After all, his wife was there in a corner, lying unconscious, her hands and feet tied and duct taped. In that English accent of Mitesh you just heard is a muddled cry for help. The operator attempts to calm him and understand what's happening by asking, can she breathe? But could she? Before we get on with whether she could breathe, there is the more important question at hand. Who is she? The woman found unconscious in a house in Linthorpe, a locality of Middlesbrough. Her name is Jessica Patel, 34-year-old pharmacologist and wife of the 37-year-old pharmacologist Mitesh Patel. This story begins with their story. Jessica Patel was born on 16 September 1983 as the first child of Jay Patel. She grew up in Leeds, a town in the historical area of West Yorkshire. Her youth was spent in a typical Desi joint family of 12 people, cousins, grandparents, aunts, you name it. They lived above the family business, a run-of-the-mill convenience store. But despite the middle-class upbringing in a family of 12, it goes without saying they all loved each other. Now, I know, how does a family of 12 living together under one roof live happily ever after? 12 is too much, is it not? It might be for you or me, but Jessica's cousin Gayatri Patel remembers her time in this bustling household as fun, joyous. Quote, it was a lot of fun growing on top of each other. Lots and lots of memories were made. End quote.
Anand, this is a theme across a lot of our episodes where there are these huge, gigantic families.
Yeah.
And obviously, at the face of it, My thought is that is a lot, like you said. 12 people is a hell of a lot of
I
people.
can't do 2.
Right, but my first hand experience of watching my boyfriend's family, and that's not really a joint family. He just has 8 siblings. And so that's a lot of people. He has a house of 10 people. And I've just seen how much joy there is in the house, how much they all love each other. Sure, there's a lot of fighting. The house is a mess, but it's just so much fun and there's so much love there. So I kind of yearn for it.
Yeah, I think if a family gets it right, a joint family could be the most fun thing.
Most fun thing, yeah.
But if it gets it wrong, it could be...
I think that's it.
A trap.
Yeah.
A trap.
Absolutely.
But for Jessica herself, she is remembered by her sister Divya Patel as a fun and goofy person to be around. Jessica, even as a kid, had a good sense of humor and at the same time managed to be calm and patient. A salient detail about Jessica is her girliness. Now, this is not the society-imposed sexist girliness I'm talking about. This is the kind of girliness and manliness that comes with being an elder sibling. Elder siblings have a tendency to have strong parental instincts. Jessica had strong maternal instincts. She grew up watching Bollywood romances of the 80s and 90s. You know which ones I'm talking about. The ones featuring everyone's favorite, the greatest actor the world has ever seen, Shah Rukh Khan. And if you disagree with my fandom of Shah Rukh Khan, I don't care, he's the best. Point being, Jessica adored the man chasing the woman trope, falling in love and starting a family. She just loved it. And not only did she enjoy watching it on the big screen, she wanted to emulate that in her own life. Jessica was described as, quote, girly by her sister for that very reason. Jessica wanted a family. She wanted to become a mother and wanted to become a wife. And her desire to raise her family wasn't mutually exclusive from her ambitious side. Jessica wanted to become a pharmacologist as well, something she had aspired for at a very young age. So the time came in 2002 when the oldest child in that 12-person household was about to leave the nest to go to university. She began her undergraduate studies in pharmaceutical sciences in 2002 at Leicester at the Montfort University. This was a big deal. This family had always been together and was tightly knit. To have a strand of this fabric loosen was uncomfortable. But again, this was a loving family, not a toxic one. So Jessica was allowed to go to live her own life at the Montfort University while pursuing her studies. But again, this was a loving family, not a toxic one. So Jessica left of her own volition. At the Montfort University, while pursuing her studies, Jessica met her man. Lo and behold, Mitesh Patel. 3 years her senior, studying the same pharmacology course she was studying. But this wasn't the first time these two were meeting. Mitesh was not a stranger. In fact, he was the farthest thing from a stranger. You see, both Jessica and Mitesh grew up in West Yorkshire, an area known for its Desi Hindu community. Moreover, Jessica and Mitesh were kind of like family friends. Their parents knew each other and the two of them had in fact met each other in community gatherings. But now that they went to the same university with the same background, that sense of familiarity brought them in a little closer into something more than a friendship.
Sounds like a budding romance, Aryan, from what I
Absolutely.
hear. And I'm sure there's something about being away from your family. Like, sure, you've been family friends for the longest time, but you've probably met in that huge, like, home full of so many people, right? And this is the first time you're kind of away from all of that. You have that sense of independence.
Yeah, especially from like coming from a Desi family.
From a Desi family,
that
yeah.
independence just takes on a whole new
level. So that's really sweet.
Mitesh Patel was born in 1981, eldest of 2 sons. Although he did grow up in the same community as Jessica's, his was a slightly more conservative and strict household. Sort of that typical Indian family that comes to mind. In fact, even during those childhood gatherings, Jessica and her sisters would tease the young Mitesh as an old man because he espoused those traditional values of his parents. But now, in 2002 at university, like Aishwarya said, they weren't kids anymore. They were on their way to adulthood, and with that comes romantic relationships. But this budding romance was cut short. 2 months into Mitesh and Jessica dating, their relationship fizzled out because Jessica began frequenting her home in Leeds to take care of her mum. Mrs. Patel was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and the family knew it was only a matter of time before she took her final breath. Jessica wanted to be with her mum in those final moments, not at university. This caused her relationship with Mitesh to fragment. In 2005, Jessica's mother succumbed to her disease. She died. But a tragedy like the death of a mother that causes families to usually disintegrate merely served as an adhesive for the closely knit Patels who found comfort in each other. Jessica took the role of a mom and took care of her dad as well as her younger siblings. But what about Jessica herself? Who was her shoulder to cry on? That shoulder belonged to Mitesh. In probably the most difficult time of a person's life, Mitesh stepped in for Jessica and reignited that romance and love. They fostered that relationship and were madly in love with each other. One after another, teddy bears started racking up in Jessica's room. Mitesh showered her with love, and Jessica fell deeper in it. She wanted to marry the man, and Mitesh reciprocated those sentiments. Both of them loved each other, and both of them wanted to be married. It was young love. In fact, Jessica's sister recalls how the couple talked for hours at night, endlessly, ending phone calls with the quintessential and annoying, "No, you cut the call. No, you cut the call." After graduating from the Montfort University with a degree in pharmaceutical sciences, the ambitious Jessica got admission at the prestigious Manchester University for a master's in pharmacology. At the very same institution, her boyfriend Mitesh was in his final year of the same degree again. In love, in the same city, at the same university, pursuing the same career from the same community and the same religion. It couldn't have been a more perfect desi match. And so it came as a surprise to Mitesh when, after 2 years of dating Jessica, he approached her father to ask him for her hand but was flat out denied.
What? This sounds like a perfect match from all
Yes.
accounts. But there is, I'm sure, a fatherly sense.
And his eldest daughter.
Unless
his
he's
first
like
daughter.
one of those controlling dads
And they
who's
weren't. No,
trying
no.
to, get cast into the play or whatever, those weird fixations. Unless it's that, I'm sure as a dad, he has like a spidey sense that's maybe going off.
It's the spidey sense. It's the I want to protect my first daughter.
Yeah.
Jay Patel denied Mitesh Patel his daughter's hand in marriage. Now, this isn't a white couple who can marry whoever and however they want. This is a brown family in a Hindu community. Values are important, and having your parents' blessing is certainly a desirable aspect of marriage. Moreover, Jessica loved her father and was disappointed he didn't allow the union, which both the adults consented to. Jessica protested. Mitesh insisted. It all felt hurry to Jessica's family for some reason. But Mitesh's parents, on the other hand, despite being more conservative, wanted the marriage and were happy that the couple had decided to sanctify their relationship. They planned on getting married in July 2009, which meant it would still be a year until Jessica graduates. Was it hurried? What was the rush? Jessica's sister and father wondered. But she found her prince charming, her Shah Rukh Khan, so to say. It was, after all, a fantasy, right? Find a man you love, get married, and have kids. And so Jessica firmly resolved to marry. Her father finally submitted to her demands and reluctantly gave his blessings.
If that's the man she wants to marry, then that be it then.
What followed was a lavish Indian wedding. 500 guests attended it. Apart from the inevitable bridal tears, Jessica was extremely happy. Now we are back to present day in the story. Several years have gone by in their marriage. Several years into this couple's marriage, they've managed to fulfill another dream, that of owning their own pharmacy. They moved from Leeds to Linthorpe, a city 66 miles away. There, on Roman Road, they purchased the Roman Road Pharmacy and turned it into a successful business, which also served as a pillar for the community. So not only did they buy a business and turn it into a successful venture, they also became homeowners by buying a house in a posh section of Linthorpe. Both Mitesh and Jessica soon garnered the community's approval and became well-liked contributing members of the small rural town.
Friendly. Best part about it is the neighbours, we all get on, and good community. It's very safe, yeah. Very safe.
This is why what happened on Monday, 14th of May, 2018 shook the Linthorpe community forever and had its ripples felt all over the UK. 14th of May began as just another day for the Patels. After all, the couple had a pharmacy to run. They went to work at their pharmacy in the morning, just like they did every other day, topped by the following week. You see, ever since they moved to Linthorpe from Leeds, it was tough for her family to visit Jessica often. Even though the distance was merely 66 miles, it was still a day's worth of a round trip. This happened to be a surprise visit by her dad. Mitesh was also having a normal, regularly scheduled day. He took the earliest shift because he had to go to the gym later in the afternoon. Mitesh recalls that Jessica was at work until 7 p.m. that night and came back home around that time. And around the time she came back home, he had gone back to the pharmacy to collect his laptop that he had forgotten and right after stopped by Romano's Pizzeria to get food for the couple. This is caught on CCTV camera, him paying for the food and getting the pizza. Around half an hour after leaving the house to run these couple of errands, he was back. But this wasn't the same house he had left just moments ago at 7:44 p.m. In the corner, beside the window, lay a cold, unconscious Jessica, her hands and feet taped. It was at 8:20 p.m. That Monday, Mitesh dialed the UK emergency number 999 and the following conversation took place.
Police emergency.
Oh, hiya. I think we've been burgled and my wife's been attacked.
Where about? What's the address?
We're on number 35, the Avenue in Middlesbrough, Linthorpe.
Right, is that where your wife is now?
Yeah, well, I've just come home. I was just out. I went to get something to eat and see the lads at work and get my laptop. And I've come home and the house is ransacked. And she's just on the floor. She's got duct tape all over her and she's like unconscious.
Right.
Shall I take off her?
Can she breathe?
Well, no, because she's...
Take the duct tape off her then.
Please, can you send someone quick?
Yeah, I am. Can I take your name, please?
My name's Mitesh.
Okay.
I can't get it up her.
I'm going to get someone straight out, okay?
How long will they be?
I'm going to get them travelling on blue lights and we're going to get an ambulance straight out as well. Okay. You said is your wife breathing? Can you feel a pulse?
I can't feel anything. Her hands are really cold.
How long have you been out of the house?
About an hour.
What's your wife called, please?
Jessica.
Listen, we've got police travelling down now. Okay? We've got police travelling down now.
So I've got the duct tape off her. It was on her legs, right, by her ankles, and on her arms, tied, like she'd been tied up. But her hands are really cold.
Are there any marks on her at all?
Well, I can see marks on her neck, like really dark neck.
She's been tied up by her hands.
Yeah.
And also tape around her legs.
Yeah.
And marks around her neck.
Yeah. She's got like blood on her nose and like stuff dripping out onto the floor.
And she's non-responsive.
No, Jess, come on, baby, wake up.
We've got Mitesh. Listen to me, please.
Baby, wake up.
We've got an ambulance coming. They're travelling on blue lights as well. Okay. And we've got.
Will you ring my dad, please?
There's nobody on scene, is there, Mitesh?
No, there's nobody here.
Nobody.
In the house.
Okay. What room are you? Okay, listen. The police are outside. Can you let the police officers in?
Miss Jessica.
I'll leave her with you, okay, Mitesh? I'll leave you with the police officers. Okay.
Right as this call ended, ambulance and police vehicles reached the Patel residence. The house was in disarray, drawers open, clothes tossed, clearly ransacked. There were 3 ambulances and police on the scene. Despite their best attempts, the emergency responders could not resuscitate Jessica.
I just came back from a friend's house. I couldn't get into the road. Loads of police, 2 ambulances. It was like a movie, like something you'd see out of a movie. To be honest, it was absolutely horrendous.
Jessica Patel was pronounced dead on scene on May 14th, 2018. Mitesh was broken. He had loved this woman for 12 years. They seemed to have everything a couple could want. But now, she was no more, taken away from him. The police informed Jessica's family of the tragedy. When her sister and father arrived on scene, Mitesh broke into tears and leapt into the arms of Jessica's sister. Everyone was distraught, but they were all there for each other.
And he turned around to me and he just said to me, I've got no easy way to say this to you, but Jess passed away last night.
Right now, the question looming on everyone's mind was, who could commit this travesty? And so, the investigation began. The police sealed off the house and began collecting evidence almost immediately. It appeared first to be a burglary gone wrong. Mitesh, Jay and the rest of the family cooperated in giving their testimonies to the police. The police has a lot on their plate. On one hand, we have a husband who is more often than not the perpetrator of domestic homicides. But on the other hand, we have Jay Patel, her father, who had disapproved of their marriage, who just happened to be in town. But we also have the outside variable. Was it someone else altogether? After all, it did look like a burglary. So the next step for the police was to conduct a postmortem. But the postmortem revealed something which was obvious. It was revealed that Jessica had died of asphyxiation, which means a lack of oxygen in her blood. She was basically strangled as evidenced by the marks on her neck. But that wasn't a surprise. The surprise was something else that a basic preliminary police investigation revealed. The question was, were there any signs of forced entry into the Patel residence? And guess what? There weren't any signs of forced entry. No signs at all. This most likely meant that Jessica had voluntarily let the perpetrator of this crime enter her home. That meant she knew the perpetrator. Well, that is a profile that both Jay, her father, and Mitesh, her husband, fit. But no one in the family, the sisters or the cousins, accused either of them. Nobody even suggested that either of them could have done this. When the morning of 15th May came about, the community of Lenthorpe woke up to this horrid news. People were in disbelief. A cornerstone of the small town was no more. They demanded answers. And not soon after the investigation began, answers came piece by piece. The police used the CCTV footage of Mitesh at Romano's pizza shop to establish the timeline of when Mitesh was out and the murder could have taken place. On May 17, 2018, 4 days after the murder, an arrest was made and the suspect was taken into police custody. It was a man, a 37-year-old man. It was Jessica Patel's husband, Mitesh Patel. The perfect husband who was caught trying to commit the perfect crime. Everyone was left stunned. There was no way he could have killed his loving and devoted wife.
There's the police, the family liaison officers. And they said, Mr. Patel, we have to tell you this. It's Mitesh.
But the thing is, it was not only his crime that was miles away from being perfectly executed. The image of being a perfect husband was a facade, an absolute lie. Behind that facade, behind that lie, behind that perfectly married 37-year-old pharmacy owner was a philandering, lying, cheating, and abusive gay man.
What?
Yup.
From all accounts, from everyone's accounts, even the people who knew Jessica, he sounds like a loving and caring husband.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not just that you're saying he was a closeted gay man, because that, okay, maybe he's...
Like in the Annie Devani case.
Devani case, right. But he was also abusive. He was also a philanderer.
This is a college romance. Years have gone by. They've set up a business together. This facade was... The fact that it was a facade just blew people's mind because they could have never guessed.
That's insane.
Piece by piece, evidence after evidence, the real story of what the Patel household was unfurled. You see, Mitesh had an obsession with CCTV footage. He had installed the best-in-class CCTV cameras not only at his pharmacy, but also outside his home. The only issue was that the hard drive linked to the CCTV was still inside the house when the police came. When they dug into the hard drive, they saw that on the afternoon on May 14th, Jessica had returned home 40 minutes before Mitesh left to get his laptop and pizza. There was a 40-minute window where he could have killed her. But this is circumstantial evidence. You're probably wondering, what is the hard evidence of the crime? What is the evidence beyond having 40 minutes to kill? This will come as a shocker to you, but the great Steve Jobs technically helped the investigators. Both Jessica and Mitesh wore Apple Watches. It was the Apple Health app, which via the Apple Watch monitored their steps, location, and most importantly, their heart rate. When the police accessed this data, a picture was painted. When Jessica came back home from work that day, which is caught in the CCTV footage, her Apple Health app showed an increased heart rate all of a sudden. And that's the same for Mitesh. Then all of a sudden, Jessica's pulse is not visible in the records, indicating that she died while Mitesh was in the house. Then Mitesh's health app shows that after Jessica's heart rate disappeared, his location bounced all over the house, probably when he was throwing clothes everywhere to make it seem like a burglary. And if that wasn't sufficient evidence, here's another one. Mitesh had 3 scratches on his neck, visible even when the police came. He said it was from the workout at the gym. I don't know what exercise would cause that. But when DNA analysis was done, Mitesh's DNA was found in Jessica's nails. His DNA was also found on the Tesco plastic bag used to suffocate her. Mitesh argued that his DNA was there from when he took it off her face, but his was the only DNA on the bag, no one else's. It was definitive. Mitesh Patel killed Jessica Patel.
Aryan, this is a question that came up throughout the honeymoon murder case, not just from me, but from people who heard the episode as well. Why the hell would he go on to marry Jessica?
Yeah.
I get, like, from so many cases now, we get that this is the consequence of coming from a conservative, Indian Desi family.
But there are so many
Is that,
people in
but
situations
I know
like
there are
this.
so many people, and you're also one of the few privileged ones to be in a country that would allow you to run away, get
100%.
married to someone else, never see your family again if you really,
Yeah.
really wanted that. First, you've married someone to put up this facade of not being gay. And secondly, you've not even lived, like, let's say, as a friendship with them. Let's say this is your reconciliation, you know, that I'm from this family. I can't disappoint my family. So I will marry someone for the facade and live my life with a friend, basically. You've not even done that. You've gone ahead and murdered her. What?
I think cases like these turn from whodunits to whydunits. You really try to figure out why.
What was his reasoning?
Like Aishwarya said, why did Mitesh ask Jessica to marry him if he was gay? Why did he continue this life for so long, for almost 10 years? Isn't it easier than committing a murder to tell your parents you're gay, especially if you're living in the UK? You see, up until they got married in 2009, they were actually the perfect couple. But that was a strategic move. Mitesh used Jessica as a tool. You remember when Mitesh came from a really conservative household, the kind that would simply not accept if he was gay? So he used Jessica to mask his homosexuality and maintain status in that community. But as soon as they got married, he showed his real self. And you know what? It would have been much better if he was a lying, closeted gay husband to her. What I really, really despise was that he was abusive, verbally, emotionally, and physically. For example, the year that the two got married, Jessica's grandfather was on his deathbed. Jessica had to beg Mitesh to let her go meet him, but he denied. He didn't let Jessica meet her dying grandfather. Moreover, he used to denigrate her and dismiss her in front of his co-workers. And if that wasn't bad enough, towards the latter half of their marriage, employees of the Roman Road pharmacy reported frequently seeing Jessica with bruises on her face or saw her limping due to a wounded leg. She even told her sister that Mitesh had thrown a phone on her and a TV remote on another occasion. But if all that isn't bad enough, here's the kicker. He didn't even hide his homosexuality from Jessica. He didn't care enough for Jessica to even hide the fact that he was gay. Soon into their marriage, Jessica caught him chatting with guys on the popular app Grindr, and he shamelessly got men to their marital home when she was there. In fact, while they were married, he began a relationship with another man named Dr. Amit Patel. This wasn't just a hookup though. This wasn't even a secretive relationship. For a few weeks, Amit even stayed at their house in the guise of a friend. You see, Mitesh would fall asleep with Jessica in the couple's bedroom and midway into the night slip into the guest bedroom to sleep with Amit. Amit eventually immigrated to Australia, and Jessica told her family about this. This was time for an intervention. She had had enough. Both families met to discuss the issue. But in typical Desi conservative fashion, the topic of homosexuality or him sleeping with men wasn't even broached. Neither Mitesh's nor Jessica's parents brought it up. That's when Mitesh moved the couple from Leeds, where she was close to her family, to Linthorpe. This was a move to isolate her. But if you think it stopped there, it did not.
So these families knew about this all along.
They knew about the tensions, Aishwarya. They knew about the infidelity, but the whispers, the homosexuality, the him
was
being
never
gay,
explicitly mentioned
never,
to them.
like her sister knew, but the parents might have heard whispers. But it wasn't something there was ever a proper conversation about.
And for things like he's throwing the bloody phone on her face.
I'm sure those were brought up.
And he's moving her like miles away from her parents. That should all be a glaring alarm
especially
to everybody.
To her family.
Yeah, 100%. That's wild. So unfortunate.
Even though the murder was committed in 2018, Google search results on his browser history reveal searches like how to stage a burglary, how to kill your wife, all the way back to 2012. 2012 was around the time Mitesh had taken out a £2 million life insurance policy on Jessica, unbeknownst to her. This murder was in work for months, if not years, and it was just a matter of time. The only reason Jessica stuck around was because she wanted kids, and he's the only man she had ever known. She loved him. They tried having kids for very long, but their sex life was almost non-existent. Not only that, since he was a pharmacist, Mitesh had access to all kinds of drugs. He was on a medication that reduced his sperm count to minimize chances of pregnancy. But Jessica was so dead set on getting pregnant because this has been a dream of hers that she began IVF treatment. And IVF, for those of you who don't know, is in vitro fertilization, a process of fertilization where an egg is combined with the sperm outside the woman's body in a lab. After several failed IVF attempts, the doctors were finally able to create 3 successful embryos in 2018. Mitesh did want to become a father, just not with Jessica. His soulmate was in Australia. That is when the plan was hatched. Buy property in Australia using the £2 million from Jessica's life insurance, move in with Dr. Amit Patel and use those embryos to raise children with him. Sounds easy, sounds evil, but his plans did not go through. Instead of Australia, he found himself in prison, sentenced for life for 30 years without parole.
If you like what we do here at Desi Studios and absolutely love what we're wearing today, this is merch you can go buy all for yourself.
You can buy this Desi Crime merch in our YouTube store on the link down below at Karak Merch. Keep the engines at Desi Studios rolling so we can pay our videographer right behind the camera to make these amazing episodes just for you.